two rooms, in one of which is a wretched pallet. In the other are a couple of large chests, a crazy table, a bench, a three-legged stool, and a spinning wheel. A cauldron is suspended above a peat fire, smouldering on the hearth. There is only one window, and a thick curtain is drawn across it, to secure the inmate of the hut from prying eyes. Mother Chattox closes and bars the door, and motioning Mistress Nutter to seat herself upon the stool, kneels down near the hearth, and blows the turf into a flame, the raven helping her by flapping his big black wings, and uttering a variety of strange sounds as the sparks fly about. Heaping on more turf, and shifting the cauldron so that it may receive the full influence of the flame, the hag proceeds to one of the chests, and takes out sundry small matters, which she places one by one with great care upon the table. The raven has now fixed his great talons on her shoulder, and chuckles and croaks in her ear as she pursues her occupation. Suddenly a piece of bone attracts his attention, and darting out his beak, he seizes it and hops away. "Give me that scalp, thou mischievous imp!" cries the hag. "I need it for the charm I am about to prepare. Give it to me, I say." But the raven still held it fast, and hopped here and there so nimbly that she was unable to catch him. At length, when he had exhausted her patience, he alighted on Mistress Nutter's shoulder, and dropped it into her lap. Engrossed by her own painful thoughts, the lady had paid no attention to what was passing, and she shuddered as she took up the fragment of mortality and placed it upon the table. A few tufts of hair, the texture of which showed that they had belonged to a female, still adhered to the scalp. Mistress Nutter regarded it fixedly, and with an interest for which she could not account. After sharply chiding the raven, Mother Chattox put forward her hand to grasp the prize she had been robbed of, when Mistress Nutter checked her by observing "You said you got this scalp from Goldshaw churchyard. Know you aught concerning it?" "Ay, a good deal," replied the old woman, chuckling. "It comes from a grave near the yew tree, and not far from Abbot Cliderhow's cross. Old Zachariah Worms, the sexton, digged it up for me. That yellow skull had once a fair face attached to it, and those few dull tufts were once bright flowing tresses. She who owned them died young, but young as she was, she survived all her beauty. Hollow cheeks and hollow eyes, wasted flesh, and cruel cough were hers, and she pined and pined away. Folk said she was forspoken, and that I had done it. Ay, forsooth, she had never done me harm. You know whether I was rightly accused, madam." "Take it away," cried Mistress Nutter, hurriedly, and as if struggling against some overmastering feeling. "I cannot bear to look at it. I wanted not this horrible reminder of my crimes." "This was the reason, then, why Ralph stole the scalp from me," muttered the hag, as she threw it, together with some other matters, into the cauldron. "He wanted to show you his sagacity. I might have guessed as much." "I will go into the other room while you make your preparations," said Mistress Nutter, rising. "The sight of them disturbs me. You can summon me when you are ready." "I will, madam," replied the old hag; "and you must control your impatience, for the spell requires time for its confection." Mistress Nutter made no reply, but walking into the inner room, closed the door, and threw herself upon the pallet. Here, despite her anxiety, sleep stole upon her, and though her dreams were troubled, she did not awake till Mother Chattox stood beside her. "Have I slept long?" she inquired. "More than 3 hours," replied the hag. "3 hours!" exclaimed Mistress Nutter. "Why did you not wake me before? You would have saved me from terrible dreams. We are not too late?" "No, no," replied Mother Chattox. "There is plenty of time. Come in the other room. All is ready." As Mistress Nutter followed the old hag into the adjoining room, a strong odour, arising from a chafing dish, in which herbs, roots, and other ingredients were burning, assailed her. and, versed in all weird ceremonials, she knew that a powerful suffumigation had been made, though with what intent she had yet to learn. The scanty furniture had been cleared away, and a circle was described in the clay floor by skulls and bones, alternated by dried toads, adders, and other reptiles. In the midst of this magical circle the cauldron, which had been brought from the chimney, was placed, and the lid being removed, a thick vapour arose from it. Mistress Nutter looked around for the raven, but the bird was nowhere to be seen, nor did any other living thing appear to be present beside themselves. Taking the lady's hand, Mother Chattox drew her into the circle, and began to mutter a spell, after which, still maintaining her hold of her companion, she bade her look into the cauldron, and declare what she saw. "I see nothing," replied the lady, after she had gazed upon the bubbling waters for a few moments. "Ah, yes, I discern certain figures, but they are confused by the steam, and broken by the agitation of the water." "Cauldron, cease boiling, and smoke disperse," cried Mother Chattox, stamping her foot. "Now can you see more plainly?" "I can," replied Mistress Nutter. "I behold the subterranean chamber beneath Malkin Tower, with its 9 ponderous columns, its altar in the midst of them, its demon image, and the well with waters black as Lethe beside it." "The water within the cauldron came from that well," said Mother Chattox, with a chuckling laugh. "My familiar risked his liberty to bring it, but he succeeded. My precious Fancy, thou art the best of servants, and shall have my best blood to reward thee to morrow." "Thou shalt, my sweetheart, my joke, my dandiprat. But hie thee back to Malkin Tower, and contrive that this lady may hear, as well as see, all that passes. Away!" Mistress Nutter concluded that the injunction would be obeyed, but as the familiar was invisible to her, she could not detect his departure. "Do you see no one within the dungeon?" inquired Mother Chattox. "Ah, yes!" exclaimed the lady. "I have at last discovered Alizon. She was behind one of the pillars. A little girl is with her. It is Jennet Device, and from the spiteful looks of the latter, I judge she is mocking her. Oh, what malice lurks in the breast of that hateful child! She is a true descendant of Mother Demdike. But Alizon, sweet, patient Alizon, she seems to bear all her taunts with a meekness and resignation enough to move the hardest heart. I would weep for her if I could. And now Jennet shakes her hand at her, and leaves her. She is alone. What will she do now? Has she no thoughts of escape? Ah, yes, she looks about her distractedly, runs round the vault, tries the door of every cell. They are all bolted and barred. There is no outlet none." "What next?" inquired the hag. "She shrieks aloud," rejoined Mistress Nutter, "and the cry thrills through every fibre in my frame. She calls upon me for aid upon me, her mother, and little thinks I hear her, and am unable to help her. Oh, it is horrible! Take me to her, good Chattox take me to her, I implore you." "Impossible," replied the hag. "You must await the fitting time. If you cannot control yourself, I shall remove the cauldron."
"Oh, no, no!" cried the distracted lady. I will be calm. Ah, what is this I see?" she added, belying her former words by sudden vehemence, while rage and astonishment were depicted upon her countenance. "This is monstrous intolerable. Oh, that I could undeceive her could warn her of the snare."
"What is the nature of the delusion?" asked Mother Chattox, with some curiosity. "I am so blind I cannot see the figures on the water."
"It is an evil spirit in my likeness," replied Mistress Nutter.
"In your likeness!" exclaimed the hag. "A cunning device, and worthy of old Demdike."
"I can scarce bear to look on," cried Mistress Nutter; "but I must, though it tears my heart in pieces to witness such cruelty. The poor girl has rushed to her false parent. has thrown her arms around her, and is weeping on her shoulder. Oh! it is a maddening sight, but it is nothing